Welcome to Echoes of New Eden. I'm your host, Rambo, and today we got a special episode. I'll go over some game news, then I'll talk with Manav about the history of the game, through our eyes, of course. Let's check it out. Just to start off, I'm still looking for sponsors that want to sponsor this show. This would include running their own very special corp ad on the show, and contact me if you would like to sponsor. So the Hunger Memes 2.0 is now over. The winners were announced several days ago. The winner being Space Karen, number 1, he got 9 billion ISK, and I placed 4th place for 2 billion ISK. Amongst others, there were some other names, but their names are changed and I can't really name them off correctly because I just don't know them all. So check out on the Gulag, the Hunger Memes announcements, and if you posted memes in there, it's possible that you also placed. So a new war is heating up. Seems to be GOAT Coalition versus No Please Stop and allies. GOAT being comprised of Pantheon, Catch-22, and the Silent Federation, versus No Please Stop with 6th and Fireflies. No has pressed into the territories of Gemini and Veil of the Silent, and have claimed Sov by acquiring corps in the area. The blue donut seems to be their primary concern, though isn't it red to them? No currently holds the Sov to the oldest citadel in the game, being HTPs. They possibly join No to preserve the historic citadel. The propaganda war is happening on Reddit, so we'll see how all this unfolds in the coming weeks. A player by the name of Kronos OC lost his Balgorn battleship worth 11.5 billion ISK in Curse. He just wanted to give a shout out to the Corp FBIW for the good fight. Sorry, I don't have the roundtable discussion on this episode due to time. I may not have one next week either, as next Saturday is my daughter's 1-year birthday. So we'll have company over for that, and I just won't have as much time as I do on any other given weekend. So now let's get to the game news. All right, they had a couple big announcements and patch notes and stuff this last week, I should say. So they are bringing in audit optimizations at this stage. The crackdown on bot and illegal transaction has achieved phase results, and we are aware of the negative effects of potential overreach on the audit system and will optimize it in August. The review time is no longer calculated separately based on each order, but the total daily income and expenditure difference is calculated. That is, there's no need to split large transactions into multiple small transactions. They are making these larger transactions more easy while still being able to block bot actions. The review time for players with higher tech levels is faster, so that means shorter audit time. They did this because bot accounts tend to have lower tech levels, so they want to have a larger effect while improving the quality of life for higher tech level players. And time spent in the same corporation as well as the corporation's size will positively affect the audit time of corporation hangars and corporation wallets. They want to make sure corp mates have less issues trading with each other. They will have some insurance optimizations. They plan on adding the ability for members in a corporation, when using insurance, to create buy orders within the corporation, or even allow corporations to trade these with other corps. And some mining and indie player improvements. They plan on improving life for indie players later by adding additional industrial mining projects like moon minerals and corporation structures that interact with them. Like, for example, owning some buildings can improve the success rate of the production efficiency and reverse engineering. Nice, so we'll see moon mining being a thing. They have some gameplay performance optimizations. If you're on an Android device and have been experiencing significantly more lag after the exploration update or the June 30th update. Repairing your client should significantly help with this. They are currently adding additional fixes in the upcoming versions to address lag. They are aware of the general stability issues caused by large-scale battles and have been focusing on fixing that, though it will require more time. Since a majority of the lag issues come from the client, they will release game performance optimizations over a few updates in August to help address issues related to large-scale battles. More details will be shared later. So, in preparation for the August content update, the increased requirements on the internal maintenance server process. So starting in August, the weekly maintenance will be on Thursdays at 0 UTC, which is basically midnight. The change will apply at the beginning of August and will be permanent. So this week for the patch notes, the July 21st version patch notes, they're currently working on the anniversary content version. Lag improvements in large battles, as well as gameplay performance optimization in Android devices. They hope to have these improve the gameplay experience sometime in August. As for bug fixes, they fix an issue where the Corporation Omega page could not be accessed. That seems to be it for this week on bug fixes. So for media, we got a number of things in the media. So starting from 7/20, they've posted this stuff on their Twitter. They'll be adding a host of new support structures as part of the anniversary update. So we'll be seeing some more of that. They'll be having a live stream. I'll talk about that more in a second. They will be bringing in faction war games where you will be able to compete in a 10v10 arena combat without losing any of your ships. Looking forward to this in the upcoming anniversary update. Dang, it looks like we got a pretty big update coming. To add additional value for explorers, you will have the ability to scan down and visit special relic and data sites that contain special rewards. More details will get released when the anniversary update gets closer. They've been releasing some sneak peeks of the anniversary update. They also posted a song. There's an official Eve Echoes song. They banned 508 accounts this last week between 7/17 and 7/23, most of which being abnormal anomaly behaviors. So back to the song, their anniversary song is called Infinity and is now available on Spotify, Apple Music, and other major music platforms. And it's a song they claim that belongs to the players. So they will be having an Eve Echoes 1-year anniversary live stream that will begin this Saturday, July 31st at 6 p.m. PDT. You'll be able to win tons of rewards, including an iPad Pro, AirPods Pro. The live stream will be held at the link given here on their Twitter, and they expect to see plenty of people there. So they do have a playbill, they call it. They have an introduction, 2021, a year in review, the anniversary version content release, future development plans, and community and CCP games celebration. And they do have rewards. It looks like they'll be giving away Google Play cards, skill points, ship skins, an iPad, and AirPods. So that'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to that live stream. So in player support news, there's actually nothing new in player support news this week. So with that, we will get to the interview. Alrighty, welcome to Echoes of New Eden. And today we have a special interview episode, and we're gonna have a nostalgia conversation. What has been going on in the game for the last year? Mostly we'll probably be talking about military battles, FCs, all sorts of stuff. So today with us we have Manav. What's up, Manav?
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for joining on. Or this,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know you've been wanting to do this for a while. So a week or a few weeks ago, I had posted on my Discord, my show Discord, about it was a previous episode I had, and it was the Battle of ZID, the one that was 1,500 people. You know, the system was capped. There was tie-dye 6. You know, I had the FCs on there, and I was just like, man, I was there. I remember seeing the battle. I remember seeing the ships flee and get destroyed in the the brawl. Man, just brought back memories. And I was talking, and later that day, I was talking to you about that battle because you were there, and you're like, yeah,
Yep.
let's do a nostalgia episode. So, and yeah, and we got to talking. We used to fly together when we were in the GHA. And you've got this history of battles in the game pretty much from the start of the game. You've, based off what you've told me, you've pretty much been in every major battle between alliances so far in this game, correct?
Yes, I've been in every battle. I've been deputy, junior FC, main FC, in most of the battle in New Eden.
So, actually, give an introduction to yourself. Let's tell people who you are, and then we'll get into some of this juicy stuff from back in the day.
Yeah, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My in-game name is ZxManav, and I'm a FC right now in Pew Black Legion. And yeah, I started solo PvPing on the third day of the game. Got some broken kill mills. I'm not gonna lie, a 1 billion venture kill mills, 1 billion Caracal trainer kill mills. And I joined Stellar Tyrants first week in the game, my own corporation. We were up in Venel PF, and yeah, it was just that we were 20, 30 man corporation back at the days, and we used to rat and like PvP stuff. And after that, we decided to move to Impus with OP4S, and met a lot of awesome people. Met Zell at that time as well. So we joined in a war while OP4S was falling apart. And I did join some defense fleets up in Impus and OP4S. And then we decided to join Dark Horde Alliance up in Geminate. So yeah, Zell was Zell and I don't remember the name. They were forming the new alliance up in Geminate and UG, but everything. And we got allied with the GHA. And after that it was it began a new war, bot wars.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people remember that war because we decided to go against people who were botting. Like it was mostly VVV alliance, and we decided to go war with them. And yeah, while that was happening, I was like doing small gang PvP up in branch channel, like killing the bots. I with a mercenary FC from Eve Online, Julian, and became junior FC under him because you can just have 10 people in the fleet. It was like so the fleet mechanics were like super tight at that time, and yeah, we used to go up in their space, kill their bots, kill their miners, and had fun, you know.
yeah,
And after that, most of the like small gang stuff was fun, but I wanted to like became new part of something new. I wanted to have something new, and decide, and then decided to form defense fleets against like Coffer. Coffer was allied back in the days with VVV, and they were the mostly one group PvP hardcore group who comes to harass and in FTZ. It was it was always fun fighting them early in the days, waking up like telling people not to die one by one. Because I knew how the fleet mechanics work at that time and how to like form up people together. And so yeah, sometimes we beat Coffer, and sometimes we didn't because Coffer was really a good small group of PvP come to harass us with their fancy vigilance. We used to like catch one of them and won the Iskvar side, and we were just happy with it.
yeah.
And I started doing offensive fleet against VVV with the Randall Thor. He's a FC right now in Lunar, and he was the main FC who led so many offensive leads. Boulevard, Randall Thor, those were the guys who led most of the offensive leads against VVV. And I was started as scout in those fleets and became a deputy very fucking soon. And it was like super fast. Randall Thor saw me and he was like, "No, you're gonna take over the fleet second, or you're gonna be the deputy under me." And it was fun winning those battles with him, and and after that, I started getting noticed in GHA as well as Dark Horse Alliance, and they gave me my first op with one of the FCs, and I was a deputy under him. But at that time, I remember he got something real life to do, and the op came at me because we were going against one of the VVV's outpost. It was an offensive fleet, my first ever fleet I led was the offensive fleet against VVV, and we jumped in. It was super quiet at that time because it was early in the morning. Because everything was early in the morning for U.S. time zone guys, European time zone guys. Uh, they were mostly VVV players and Copper and all of their allies, and they jumped in a 150-man fleet on our 50-man small fleet, and yeah, we won them, and we killed their fleet and put the outpost in armor, if I remember correctly. Oh, no, we didn't manage to put the armor in there because it was like 2 minutes left, and we were still moving around, warping around. Their FC was one of the that was one of the toughest battle I've been in because he was very smart. He was trying to brawl us, and we were because we in GHA were sniper fleet most of the times, and they were trying to ball us. It was a lot of warping involved, a lot of tips, a lot of new tricks. I had to outsmart them, and yeah, and I remember very vaguely after that fight because we won. A lot of pilots messaged me. I'm like, "Oh, this is it. This is one of the biggest ops I led," and that fleet put me on the map. And I remember perfectly, I got promoted as a Ravager captain in GHA. And one of my directors, Mr. Kilroy, I know he's been in this podcast as well, and he told me, "Oh, dude, you skipped 2 ranks and got promoted, And I became a military leader as well in my own corporation. There's a lot of promotions involved, and yeah, we won the bot wars up in Geminate, and after that, we disbanded and they formed Fireflies. I remember, and they were like super against botting. They were super nice guys, like top of the top players. They formed Fireflies up in Branch and Venel and Tribute,
Yeah.
and yep. And after that, we jumped into another war, a civil war in Dark Horse Alliance with NSF. I don't know if you remember that,
Yep, I
but
remember that. Yep. So
yep, we kicked it.
let's take a pause. Let's not get too far because I want to talk about this stuff. So a lot of newer players, say newer fans of the show, newer people that have been playing for maybe only 6 months. The bot wars were really early in the game. I mean, I'm not really sure exactly the date when the bot wars officially started, but in the beginning of the game, botting was an issue, and it happened to be kind of most of the Chinese corps, right? VVV, I think Bad P, were a couple of the names that were notorious for it, right? And they were getting slammed hard about it, and corporations were banning people for botting. The war that went, let's see, SHH, GenFed, and GHA all came together. What was the name of that coalition again? I think it was called the Eve Coalition, and it was against botting, right?
Yep.
And so the 3 major forces at the time were against these, they're the accused botting alliances. Yeah. And the bot wars went on for several months.
Yeah, it wasn't like it didn't got over in like a month or so. It was like multiple months, multiple offensive fleets, multiple defensive fleets. I've been in almost all of them, because I woke up early in the morning for those fleets because we were fighting Chinese players at the time, and they used to. I think they were like they used to get free early in the like late at the night, and they used to come at us, and we were like waking up early in the morning going against them. So it was a lot of bashing involved. A lot of fleets were there. A lot of players died. A lot of players won.
Hmm.
It was a one of the toughest war we ever been in. But our doctrine team at that time were very smart. We had a lot of EU Online veterinarians who were like, who was in the doctrine team, and it was a lot of meetings, a lot of it wasn't like we didn't want that war just by like oh, let's form a fleet and let's go. It was a lot of intel involved. It was a
Hmm.
lot of bashing involved because at that time there weren't any citadels, so
Yeah.
you have to find an outpost which you can attack by just putting a spy in it, and you have to kill that outpost to get the territory back. And yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't
Yeah.
easy. And
I,
while at that time, it was the fleet mechanics weren't helping at all as well.
oh no. Yeah. With the 10-man fleets. No way. Yeah. You can't say you missed those, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So and a lot of the times too was people were doing bomber roams because I think the bomber frigates had just come out. You can go covert ops cloak and you go and you watch these bombers, and at the time people had these gigantic fleets and quote unquote botters, and people were being watched and accused of botting, and the war dragged on forever up until these corporations started actually like kicking people, and NetEase got really behind it too and was banning a lot of people, and people that were scripting, and they developed ways to find out who is scripting, and we're banning people for it. So since then, the bot wars, let's see, when did that end? Really, December, I want to say. I think
Ali
the
Jan, Ali Jan.
early January.
Yeah, yeah, Ali Jan.
So another thing too, and you brought up OpForce, OP4S. Uh,
Yep.
so the bot wars, that was, I was still during the bot wars. My corp was still kind of like an independent corp. We weren't aligned really with anybody yet up until we joined the GHA, and then it was soon after we joined GHA was when GHA entered the Eve Coalition, or created the Eve Coalition, and then got into it. So I was kind of still like a care bear, and didn't really do much but mine and do like PvE. But even then, you mentioned OpForce, and a lot of big names came out of OpForce, both good and bad. Yourself came out of it. Zell was a very well known player. Evil Darkness, he's still around today and playing. What happened to OpForce?
Before us, we joined, and they were right in the middle of the war. It was all of them were pushing them from every direction. Because I remember being in the system, and it was like a war hell. Because you were seeing they told us this is our main position. They told us, they gave us a system like you can move into the. I remember ST joining at that time, and it was a war hell. It was a lot of defense fleets forming up, a lot of picking up from local, just get into a ship and just like try to kill these players who came and harassing us in our system. And we decided to like came out of that because we were up in Venel. We were also been getting harassed by a small corporation, and we just wanted to have a new kind of a start. And we joined right in the middle of the war. And yeah, I think I remember our CEO was talking to Zell, and we decided to form Dark Horde Alliance up in Geminate and get out of that situation as soon as possible. But as soon as we got out, they disbanded or they fell apart. I remember it correctly. OP4S fell, and it was every player was new. Every alliance, every corporation was looking for something else, and that how Dark Horde Alliance got formed. And it was just the good pilots who were not in the drama, not in the propaganda, who joined up in Germinate. And Zell knowed his shit. Zell knowed everything he was doing at that time. And yeah, we formed Dark Horde up in the Germinate, and that
What
was it.
what were some of the notorious battles from the bot wars?
Oh man, I can go on and on for that.
Okay,
But
give us the biggest ones. Let's say, how about the motivation turning, large scale battles?
yeah, so I remember one of the largest scale battles. We put most of the outposts in the hulls, and was a lot of military involved. We formed a new Discord and everything. It was like one of the biggest op you can see. All of the players were online at that day. We were hitting multiple outposts at multiple time zones, and we were trying to. That was like we were trying to disband VVV at that same day. They were like they got hit so much hard at that day because it wasn't one system involved. I remember most of the fleets also died as well. And my fleet FC died, and I came up. I joined as a deputy, became a full form FC from like 50 men guys, and yeah, we were still holding at that grid. We were still fighting. We killed most of the outpost, but yeah, they pushed really hard back with like 500 players pushing us because we were hitting a lot of outposts in different systems, and that's why that was a guerrilla warfare tactic against VVV, and that won us the fight. That won us basically the bot wars. That was one of the biggest top.
Wow, where was that? Was that up in the Vale?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of system involved. Branch, Tribute, Whale.
Okay.
I remember because we were in YZX. I remember YTech ZX, currently owned by Lunar now. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, crazy the times. So then, once you got out of Op4S, then that was when you went to GHA, correct?
Yep. We went to Dark Horde Alliance, and Dark Horde was allied with GHA.
So after the bot wars, almost the next day started the Southern War. Then
No, it was. I think after the bot wars, it was the Civil War, right?
the what war?
Civil War.
Oh, the Civil War. Well,
Yes.
okay, so yeah, I think that was toward the end of the bot wars.
Yeah.
The GHA had the Civil War. Yeah, but do tell. That was when NSF departed. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the US time zone players, they just wanted PvP. We were in GHA. We were trying to form a new. What was the name of the document called? We were trying to form
Charter.
like what?
Was it a charter? The new charter?
We were trying to form the new charter, and they didn't like the new charter. The US time zone players came up together and they formed their new alliance, NSF, North Star Federation, and they holded the system LTOFR, the entry from the Will of the Silent up in Germinate. And yeah, they came us at us with scepters, and a lot of them. It was annoying. They put UG into. I remember that you put UG into Hull, but we didn't like. We took it seriously and decided to push back. And yeah, they retreated. They lost that war, and they retreated back in Fountain. And they still have that citadel. The citadel is still alive.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, in NSF in Fountain now. Uh,
So that war lasted all of like 24 hours, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like 2 days, 1 day, my man.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I looked at it with a different perspective. Is yeah, the U.S. time zone players, they did want PvP and whatnot, and the whole charter thing was being revised. It was the structure of GHA, and I want to say that a couple of the corps were given promises to become senior partners. The GHA had like this. You had like the primary corps, and then you had partner corps, and then you had like senior partner corps, and they kind of had a little bit more weigh in on say, on decisions and stuff like that. It was just the way that it was structured. And I think a few of the corps, when coming into GHA, they were given some promises that the leader at the time couldn't really fulfill, and so there was a lot of backlash about that. And truthfully, my corp was one of the senior partners, but I don't know what the benefits were. I to this day I don't know what we benefited out of it. It's just, if anything, we had a pretty strong military support within GHA, but otherwise.
Yeah, we were senior partners as well as ST. We were the protector of the charter. Our CEO was Dactyl, was the protector of the charter, I remember. And yeah, it didn't came out with I know a lot of CEOs were trying to push that for that position, but it didn't came with no new benefits, my man. Everything was same, everything was there,
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, that kind of led up to that NSF war, and they split from the GHA, and they wanted, I don't know if they were trying to do PAX or something, but they wanted certain land within Geminate, and GHA said, no, you can't have it. This is our territory. Either you stick with the systems that we'll delegate to you, or you get out. And they decided they wanted to fight over it. And so that's what happened. It lasted all of a couple days, and then they ended up joining Pantheon.
Yep, up in Fountain. But yeah,
and then
right after that,
and then after they joined Pantheon, they came and did roams within the GHA territory, and they actually struck my citadel at the time. There was some sort of deal also too that, like, if they were to do that, because I think we're blue with Pantheon because of the bot wars still, possibly. And I don't know if Pantheon was considerably as big. They're definitely not
Pantheon
as big as they are
think
today.
Pantheon was neutral at that time because we were allied to GenFed at that time as well. And because GenFed was blue to Pantheon and Pantheon was neutral to us, we were in a treaty or some sort of agreement. We can just go out, have roam everywhere, but we can't, hell camp them, or, we can't put their structures in citadels or timers. Because I remember we used to camp where polo ball with the bloody roams, go around with Ned and, up in 3FK and just gate camp that. And we killed one of the vindicators, and I remember one of the Diplos were like, nope, you're not going anywhere anymore. You killed one citadel of their own. We killed one of the vindicators, and
Yeah, and I could only imagine that was a Diplo shitstorm too.
Yep.
Yeah, when the NSF crew came and visited my citadel and shot at it for about 5 minutes, some things were raised, and it probably ended up being a pee slap, but it is what it is. A Diplo shitstorm. So then after that, then we get into the Southern War, and this is the longest war in Eve Echo's history so far. Lasted from January up until like last month. And I just talked to Mama, she's still really actually fighting against OG and some of the alliances and corps over there. That new one that ACR kind of formed, she's still fighting them, but to the rest of the galaxy, I guess you could say the war is over. The Southern War, I mean. Man, see, those were the days when I was fleeting up into your fleets, and some of the other notorious FCs, not only from like the GenFed side, but SHH, and then GHA.
Yep. So Southern War started like GenFed was pushing against ACR, or at that time, I think, yeah, they were called ACR, and yeah, they were pushing against ACR, Void, and bunch of allies, and we weren't we didn't take any part of that one, they
Right.
began that war, but we were just allied, and we were just like neutral at that time, and we weren't engaging it in any ops of their own, they were just fighting each other, and then Void call out aid for their help because their citadel was like in a timer and sort of, and we decided to answer that call, and yeah, then began the Diplo shitstorm, and
Yep.
GenFed. I remember seeing all of the conversation. I was in part of those. I was like, I saw those, and yeah, it was bloody, my man. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
and
That was when she
yeah,
said you are now entering the war. Yep. And
yep,
that was
she,
that's what started it. We came to aid Void because Void was on offensive and they needed some help being on the defensive side, and so GHA came in to assist Void in some defense in their territory, and GenFed didn't take that lightly, no. And then basically GHA entered the Southern War at that time.
yep.
What was
Void
it called
needed.
before the Southern War? It was called something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something else. I don't remember, but we used to call it the Southern War because it was right in the southern part. But yeah, at start it was the name was different. I remember it, but I don't remember the name. But yeah, let's just call it the Southern War,
Yeah.
because people remember it by that name. And we were on the defensive side. We were protecting void citadels, defensive citadels, and yeah. And at that time, No and Pew used to come at Endrail because everybody was using that pipeline. Us in Geminate and you guys in Catch as well using that pipeline, and No was like kind of having fun at that in
Yeah.
that pipeline with their Guardian fleets. I remember it perfectly with their Guardian blob, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I remember
and
I remember I had a solid hard on for my outpost that was in Enreal, my corp outpost.
love triangle.
Yeah,
Yep,
the
yep.
Golden Love Triangle in Enreal, and when we dropped that, we were only expecting that to last maybe a week, before it got destroyed, just because there was so much traffic. The game mechanics at the time, when you dropped an outpost, everybody that had stations list up was able to see that and warp to the outpost. It wasn't invisible like a patch happened, and then if you dropped an outpost, then only you would be able to see it, etc. And of course there was warp ins. We had to try to stop people getting warp ins. Of course people end up getting warp ins. I think I seen a contract in my own outpost. There was a contract for like 400 mil for just a warp in, right? um
Yep.
that outpost lasted like 3 or 4 months. We defended it quite well. It was in whole timer I don't know how many times. No Please Stop came in. But what that was at the time, and maybe you didn't know this, but with my corp specifically, maybe that was good for the GHA at the time, because my little girl's screaming in the background. That was good content for the GHA at the time. And actually, and maybe what people don't know is we actually used that for a lot of training exercises. Believe it or not,
Yep.
we slapped No just doing bullshit fleets and just like, hey, let's try this out. And name Shack Attack. He was kind of our up and coming FC in our corp, and then later on he got notorious within GHA. And he would just say, hey, I got an idea, let's try it. We got a timer, it's in Enreal, we're gonna go try this out. And they would succeed. It was amazing. It brought content, it brought training skills, all that stuff, and eventually it did fall. When it did fall, I posted a like a please remember kind of meme on my Discord, and actually I should bring that back up. it had the date when we dropped it, and then it had the date when we fell. Kind of like a tombstone type thing. But yeah, Enreal, man, Enreal. That was a content pipeline right there.
Yep. I remember perfectly fighting protecting the love triangle against no guardian blobs, and that my first loss in FC was against Tahini with their guardian blob. It was a big loss. Everybody knew we lost against Tahini's guardian blobs because one of the pilots decided to bring a vindicator. And that pilot lost that windy, and yeah, it was my first loss and as an FC because my record was super clear because most of the fleets I ever been in, we've been successful or we won that war by ISK or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my first loss was the great, against the great Tahini. And yeah, I remember Zell telling me, don't worry, just, everybody lose against Tahini. He's one of the best out there. And yeah, uh, we try. I remember. I think No killed Love Triangle. They formed a good ass Guardian Blob fleet against us, and they were just kiting us, and they managed to kill the outpost, and it fell. But I remember forming defense fleet for it. But I think the last one, the lead was by Shack Attack, who led the last defense fleet ever, and it fell. But yeah, rest in peace, Love Triangle.
Yeah. Which, I mean, for the time being, it was nice when I was there. People pass by a Golden Love Triangle. Then, in case
Yep.
people have never been to Enreal on the map, that is one jump outside Kenora in the Great Wildlands. So people can
Yep.
look it up. And, I still have a character in Kenora currently, and I log in every day to get the skill points. And I see all reds in there in Kenora. I'm like, oh man, I remember when our enemies would stage in Kenora, and I'd have to have like 3 ships within that station in Enreal just to be able to defend it, stuff like that. And yeah, those were the days. So leading into the Southern War and some of the battles, the biggest battles in the game happened in this era of the game. Let's see. ZID, multiple ZIDs, and I wasn't in the news to really remember ZID when GenFed owned it. If I think that's correct, I think GenFed had a Citadel or something in ZID, and then it went down. But then Bad P put a Citadel there, and that was a huge battle. It ended up anchoring. GenFed
Yep.
and allies are putting it into Hull, and I don't know where in the timeline that was. I don't remember, but when that CTA went up, it was just I'm trying to think. It was like, okay, this CTA is happening like 6:00 in the morning my time. It was a majority of like EU players, and maybe like East Coast US players, but this Battle of ZID, and I'm talking about the one that hit 1500. Tell us about that one.
Yeah. I remember it because I did a lot of move ops. I did a lot of like pipe clearing fleets there, roams with as well with Polobot with bloody roams up in that pipeline with the Bloodhound Alliance, the Russian part of the GHA also roamed there in their spaces. And a lot of awesome content came out. You can see that content right now as well. One of the videos are still up, I guess. And yeah, it required a lot of meetings. It required a lot of move ops before that fight could even happen. And I led most of the move ops. I remember waking up 3 in the morning and just moving nightmares to that because that citadel got put into Hull. And I remember correctly waking up early in the morning and I led the second fleet and called out targets. I was the third FC who called out targets. First was Shaq, second was Polobot, third was me, and fourth was Drake. We were just calling out target and they were just melting out. And they did a lot of mistakes in that fight. GenFed, their FCs, and a lot of them made a lot of mistakes. You can see that as well clearly. But Bloodhorde was one of the like star gold in that fight as well. They like they killed their morale as soon as they started by just camping the one of the other gates and just killing their just brawling them. They were just brawl gods at that time, and yeah,
The so yeah, if we go back and we listen to the episode that I did with the GHA FCs, and just being there, man, and listening to them talk and then kind of replaying it in my head the next day, and it's like, oh man, this is so awesome. We don't see battles like this ever anymore. And some people say it's a good thing, some people say it's a bad thing, but I would probably say it's probably more toward the good thing, because nobody liked tie-dye. There is player cap is a thing, and yeah, you were
yeah,
saying, and in that podcast that I had with those FCs, they were saying the Blood Horde was strategically placed at a gate just to hold them, just to delay them. They knew
yeah.
that fleet was going to get wiped.
Yeah, they were placed at that gate because we knew they're gonna bring like a lot of a lot of support by their allies, a lot of brawling ships, and they were placed there, and they were just brawling, munching those enemies up while we were fighting. And while we were fighting that system in there, they were also fighting a lot of like multiple fleets who were trying to come and join the big main battle, and they were just killing it. And after killing like most of the fleets, they joined us back up again. They walked in us, and the main big battle began. Tie-dye hit to 9x. I remember perfectly, calling out targets and just keep, every FC was just calling targets, and it was like, oh, Shaq had a micro DC. Now Polobot is calling target. Polobot had a micro DC. I'm calling targets. I had a micro DC. Drake is calling targets. It
Yeah.
was everybody was calling targets. Everything was getting melted. Like they were losing a lot of ships by the numbers. We can see them easily. But I know most of the players didn't like tie-dye and 9x battles, but that one of the biggest battle in
Yeah.
evaco's ever been. And we didn't even know, we thought the player cap would increase to 2000 or it was just like we were watching, oh, tie dice is gonna hit 9x now, is it gonna be 10x, and is it gonna system is gonna increase? Because I think there were 100 players right next to the system who were trying to join in, and they couldn't even jump in
Yeah.
because the system hit cap.
Well,
So it was like 1600 or 1700 people, if we count everywhere from like nearest system as well.
yeah. Well, I was at the gate and I was spectating the Blood Horde fighting off, or at least camping the gate on one of the entrances towards ZID. And the cap was at 1199, 1200 at that time. Well, then, I don't know, 'cause like I said, I woke up 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning my time to join, and I was already late. I was already in system because I just stayed logged in all night. And I'm watching this, and then all of a sudden it was like a switch flipped, boom. And then all of a sudden that fleet came in, and then it raised up to 1400. And I was like, oh crap, okay, they're warping to the sun. That's right where the Citadel was. I'm going to go back to the Citadel. I had a safe spot near the Citadel that I could just kind of sit back and watch. And, as a media person, watch. And watching that battle at the sun was... I've never seen... At the time, I've never seen anything like it. Since then, I've never seen anything like it. Tell us about that battle.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was one of the greatest battles you can ever be in part of, and I got honored to be a FC in that battle and call out targets, and won that battle successfully. We were on the defensive side. Our job was to protect the citadel at all costs. we would, we had that talks, early in the meetings, because there was a meeting. I remember Shaq led the meeting and just call out, we're gonna protect that citadel and every full cost. Is it gonna be like people like need to step up? If they need something, you're gonna step up and you're gonna do that job as well. So we were ready. We were ready against DCs. We were ready against everything. We planned everything, and a lot of planning was involved. A lot of strategic tactics was involved. It wasn't that easy. Just wake up, form a fleet, and just defend the citadel. A lot of things were placed. A lot of FCs did their best job. Polo bot just like amazing in that battle, and it was a fun being part of the battle. And I remember all of the GHA players, all of the Dark Horde players were super happy to be in part of it. I got the Logi perspective as well. Logi was just repping each other, repping the fleet, and they did amazing in that fleet as well. I gotta give a big shout out to the Logi as well in that fleet, because I got reps, in that fleet as well. And we had multiple ships already in the citadel, so we were ready to die, back up again forming. They did a lot of mistakes. They walked in a lot of different angles. Their fleet got strung out. After we decided pushing hard on their first fleet, the second fleet walked in at a different weird angle. They were not perfectly anchored. I don't know. They were lacking a lot of military on the Genfed side, and we were not. So that's why we had engagement. And after that, like Drake was giving out numbers. They're losing that amount of ships, and after that, we got until they're like losing hard, and we decided to push in. We moved from the citadel and into their shield bubble and just kill everything on the field. And they walked back, and I think they tried to save couple of the battle cruisers, and they managed to walk 20 or 30, but that's it. Everything died there. Nobody came out alive from it. You can find it on YouTube as well. Like there
Mhm.
was a lot of perspective from a lot of sides. Russian side, everything was planned. Everything was going according to the plan, and yeah, we won that fight. It
So
was one of the biggest battles.
yeah, you had mentioned that on the GenFed side they made a few mistakes. So one, I would say, isn't really their fault. One being that they had a lot of drones. Now, maybe they knew of tie-dye, the time dilation, but when tie-dye hit 6, basically all the drones were broke.
Yeah, the only thing was working was cannons.
Yeah, anything.
Yep.
The only thing that was working was cannons, which happened to be what the defense fleet had a lot of tornadoes. So, yeah, I'm not gonna completely say that was on them, but tie-dye. To me, tie-dye was very new at the time. I've never experienced a battle that had any tie-dye yet at 6 times slower than normal speed was how that battle was going. It definitely, that battle went like 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah. When it started, it's just 9x, my man. That was 9x.
Oh, man.
When the battle was in the place.
Yeah, like I said, I came in late and I was like 3 hours late and it's still happening. So
Yeah.
the player cap happened, and yeah, the two blobs are basically going at it for each other. And in the podcast that I had with GHA FCs, they specifically named a pilot named Plurk, and he was kind of like the hero Logi in that group. And you remember Plurk?
Perfectly. They were, because we had I don't know, like we had a spy. Everybody knew we had a spy on their comms. They were listening to our comms. We were listening to them, and they called out plug, and they were like all focus firing, and every Logi in GHA, in Dark Horde, in Blood Horde was rapping plug. It was like that man like got reps for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes straight, and we were trying to keep him alive for as long as possible. And at that end, he did died, but he was the star pilot who
Yeah.
stayed alive, and
Well-
he was still rapping as well while being getting shot at.
Yeah, he was probably taking full on DPS to he was taking primary DPS, enough that probably could have dropped an outpost real quick. He took
Yep.
so much DPS. He had every logistics on him. He stayed alive for as long as he did, and you know what? That's what they needed. And so that happened as well. But I want to say too, Mama Rex, Kerensky. I'm trying to remember some of their FCs. There's another name. They kind of they brought some bling ships at the time, considerably bling, and there was one of their FCs died, I believe, and the FC that took over, I want to say that he was the one that made the decision to push toward the Citadel, and then that was when the brawl happened.
Yep. We were like trying to hold back at that time. I remember, we were figuring out what we're gonna do because they were burning at us, and we knew they didn't have enough ships, so we decided to burn in them instead of giving them any advantage. We didn't give them any advantage. We decided to burn into them and decided to brawl as much as possible. We were sniper fleet and we brawled and we won, my man. I still
Yeah.
I still laugh about that. We were like fully sniper fleet and they came at us and we came at them and just killed their ships.
And that brawl was yet again, I've never seen a brawl that big. It was like let's see, there was a meme. It was like a WWF meme, or like a Royal Rumble, when there's like 30 guys all in a ring and they're all compact next to each other and they're all in this confined space. I mean, that's how many ships were in the blue bubbles and everybody was right next to each other. I've seen screenshots of people with how compact the ships were, and what's funny is I saw tornadoes all the way down to like condors and stuff in the brawl. Like everybody was there.
Yep. Everybody in New Eden was fighting that brawl. Everybody in New Eden was in that brawl. We were just bashing it out. And we had one of the great advantages. We had a lot of FCs who know their shit, and we were calling out targets as fast as we can, and they were dropping as fast as we can. I think that was the advantage we had. I don't know. We listened to their comms. I think they were slowly trying to figure out call out targets. GenFed has like one of the great FCs and now in the game, but I don't know if he was part of that fight. But yeah, they lacked that speed, they lacked that aggressiveness.
Yeah.
If they could have been aggressive, maybe they could have won. Maybe the history could have been changed. But yeah.
So toward the end of it, after the brawl had happened, that was really fun. And I believe the nightmare, one of the nightmares that they're anchoring on, decided to go straight up. He was fleeing. And that was pretty much, somebody was locking him down, making sure that that nightmare wasn't going anywhere. And they eventually got it. And the fleet was pretty much decimated after that. Those that were able to flee fled. And the Citadel timer was repaired. And then it ended up staying alive for another couple months. So that battle to me, to this day, is not only just like the best it's the best battle, it's my favorite battle, it's the biggest battle, it's the most unique battle we've had, I want to say, and we haven't had anything like that since. It's kind of saying something in that sense too, WX was the next big battle to come up, but I don't think the system capped. It wasn't 1,500. It may have been 1,000 or 1,200.
No, I think it was 800 and 900 pilots. Yeah.
So
I was in that battle as well.
If anyone hasn't listened to that episode that I did, let's see, I could check what episode it was. With GHA FCs. I'm going back through my episodes right now to see which. So I uploaded that March 1st, the Great Battle of ZID, and I had the interview with GHA FCs. So I highly recommend listening to that. I listened to that a couple weeks ago, just listening to my own episodes. I know I'm weird, but the nostalgia I got from that, from being at that battle and listening to them talk about it, and then them going home and talking about the good and the bad, in the battle, and man, it just brought back memories. I miss that state of the game.
Yeah, I miss one of like a lot of FCs from GHA. I miss like the Russian group of the GHA. They and the Chinese group like Zenhot Alliance. They were also amazing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and at the time too, GenFed lost, I want to say it was upwards of 350 billion in asset, just at ships, which at the
And
time that was like mind blowing. you know,
yep,
it's
it
like,
was up in price, and
yeah,
Flex was up in price as well, and they lost all of their citadels as well against in that war as well.
yeah. So following ZID, it was probably what, 2 weeks later, WX happened. Tell us about what happened in WX.
So in GHA, one of the corporation OZ, I remember, yeah, it was OZ. They decided to put. They were the group like a Care Bear or PVE group, and they wanted to make a point. A PVE corporation and like alliance can be also useful as well. We can do military as well, and they wanted to place a citadel, and we knew that wasn't gonna survive. We knew that citadel is also going to die down, but they were ready for it. They wanted to place a citadel, and as GHA, it like took over the war, and it became, it became GenFed versus GHA, and we decided to go on offensive, and we took over the siege, and we placed a citadel right in their, territory.
Front door.
At the
Yeah.
Yes, and they retaliated with a fleet as well. Bloodhorde managed to crush that fleet on their own, and it got anchored. It got successfully anchored. Then the defense fleet happened. I think while we were defending it, Pantheon came in the show. Now Pantheon is in the show. They decided to hit all of our citadels up in Geminate while we were defending, while we were defending the WX OZ citadel, and they managed to put a lot of citadels up in Geminate into armor, into armor, and they came back, and we were defending it, and they came back and they put the citadels into hull as well successfully. A lot of in Geminate, a lot of in cache. So that was one of the mistakes we did, because we focused more on WX while our ship was in WX. A lot of military was in WX. We forgot about our home.
Yeah.
We forgot who's gonna defend our home. Because I remember it correctly. You're telling to us, because after knowing a lot of citadels in Hull, one of the citadels who was in Hull was my own corporation, ST Citadel, Waiata Yeater, and he was that citadel was in Hull as well. And yeah, that was the mistake we did as an alliance, and a lot of people got, a lot of people were like, it was a lot of ranting aloud, a lot of deploys. Then became a lot of like diplomats talks and everything. That they managed to come at us hard, and we were on the GHA, and like a lot of allies were still trying to help us at that time because we took over the war. We were the main seat. Like it became, the war was GenFed versus ACR, Void, OG, WOP, like all of those alliances. We were just a part. We were just an ally group, and it became GenFed versus GHA, and everything. Everyone else is an ally, and they were also taking the heat, but not as much as we took the heat.
Yeah.
And yeah, they came at us. It was a lot of defense citadels, and in that time of period, I got promoted as well into, because we needed a lot of people up in leadership, and I got promoted to Lieutenant Regent General of Geminate with Polowat, because our duty was to protect Geminate, both of us, and yeah, we protected most of the citadels, but they managed to kill a lot of citadels. Uh, they So it was one of the battles I remember because I took a break. That was like the second or third my loss in my fleet. I remember calling out every military leader I know, like why it is and how like come at us. I know it's a different time zone. It was like something in between European and like US time zone. We forgot to tell people to put like citadels in the right time zone, because we went from US time zone heavy to became to European time zone heavy, you know.
Yeah.
And that change happened after the Civil War, and people forgot to put the Citadel Hull timers into European time zone. So that was like our main big prime time, GHA. And yeah, the Citadels came out. Every Citadel came out in a different time zone. We tried to protect it, which we can. Polobot led most of the defensive fleets. I led most of the defensive fleets going against Pantheon, and they at that time of that time they had more battleships than us. They managed to put a lot of battleships because they had a program, 50% program, like Gengar made it one of the videos. They had a bunch of programs. They know their shit. They had military at that time, but I'm gonna say their military at that time was basic. Our military was good enough, but it was a democracy, man. It was like we needed to get a lot of permissions from a lot of players, a lot of CEOs. It was a mess. We lacked that one guy just telling, "Oh, we're gonna go on offensive side. That's it." Every alliance went and on their defensive, on their defensive fleets on their defensive side, because everybody got hit. You got hit. My corporation got hit. Like the Russians got hit. Zenhot got hit. They managed to just caught us our pan down, so I was just protecting WS. And funny enough, WX, that OZ corporation, joined GenFed.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest surprise ever.
You know,
You know?
you know what's funny about that? So I want to hit on a couple points. So until recently, Pantheon held the record of destroying the most citadels in one day within a time frame. So I don't know, 5 or 8 hours time frame. Pantheon destroyed what, 4 or 5 citadels? I think they took down 4 and kept the 5th one up. But it could have went down. I want to say that's what happened. And ST went down. I want to say Gon went down. A home citadel went down, and maybe one of Odin's. Yeah, up until just recently in the Veil of the Silent. So yeah, they held that record. It's that night sucked. Actually, I was at those CTAs, and what was weird is was your system the dead end system over there on that end of cache?
Yeah, YTR. They managed to get a spy open.
One of the stupid things about that is I think that system only had a cap of 200.
I think it was 500. I remember it correctly. It was 500.
I know it was something ridiculous. Yeah, it's like, well, this is nullsec. Why is this, so low?
Yeah, we contacted devs. Everything was like, increase the stability. We gave them 3 systems. We like increase all of those 3 systems if you're gonna, fight in that, because I called out every allied I knew. I called out like every military leader, every FC I knew, like, come help us out. I know it's a different time zone, but if we crush them, they're not going to come for the second 2 citadels. I can promise you that, because if we kill their fleet, the morale is going to let down. It's psychological warfare, but I know that worked at that time. And, but yeah, I remember Void came to help us, like 40-man fleet, and they couldn't even jump in because the system was capped at 500. We were 190, and they were like 310, and they were 320, and they were battleships heavy. But we were ready at that day. We had a nightmare. We had a ST nightmare because no nightmare was online at that time. It was a different time zone. It was a weird ass time, and our pilots were ready to die.
That did expose some issues within the GHA as far as the timer communication, which is still very important even nowadays. Get your timers in check. But yeah, there, and I'm gonna make a shout out. There is a unsung hero out there. I was in my tornado. I was trying to escape the Pantheon fleet, and I hit autopilot to go to wherever I needed to go. and I ended up getting tackled, and I couldn't go anywhere. And so I'm kind of kicking and fighting and struggling, and then somebody killed the person who I was tackling, and I ended up getting out. So thanks to whoever did that. I know I probably won't ever see them, but yeah, my tornado still lives to this day. The now the WX situation, they planted that citadel right at the front door of BZ, which was considered, maybe still is considered, Gen Fed's kind of home system, because at the time they didn't have SOF. There was an NPC station there, and so WX happened. The anchoring went official, and I want to say I was there for the anchor timer, if that was the bigger battle, and yeah, I don't know if I was there. No, of course we weren't there for the whole, because it ended up changing over. You know what's funny about that is I found out about that through Damon Zell's show.
Yep.
And
We woke up, we saw the song, and they were like, "Oh, that says Denfed. What happened?"
yeah,
I used to say GHA.
yeah. Well, it was funny. I was driving home, and that's when I typically listen to Damon Zell's show. Is it's perfect length. I drive home, and I listen to his show. Well, then let's see. Yeah, he had caught the news that OZ had changed alliances to GenFed, and he had a screenshot of Dregs of Earth, who was the CEO at the time, and Dregs of Earth stated, yeah, it was because of Rambo's interview he had with Mamasaurus Rex that gave him the kind of insight into GenFed. He liked it that much that he decided to take his corp over to GenFed, which meant taking the Citadel over there and giving it to GenFed in that sense, and it's still up today. It's still up. That Citadel, and I had to listen to that a couple times. I was like, how? What? OZ lived 2 jumps away from me, and I hadn't even found that out. And not to mention, he listened to my podcast. Thanks for being a fan, and that gave him some insight, and ultimately he made his decision off of that. And I was like, wow, I wouldn't have thought that would have happened. That was kind of a. And oh man, Blood Horde, they lost so many ships at the time because they got locked out. There's a lot of ships that got locked out.
Most of the Blood Horde, Russian military was there. They had most of their brawling ships in that citadel. They got locked down. We lost a lot of assets. We lost a lot of, heirs. It was a smart move by their diplomats. It was a smart move by Mamasaurus Rex, getting OZ. It was a really smart move, but yeah, that hurted us a lot because our small portion of military got locked down by their ships while we were while we were getting hit by Pantheon up at Geminate and Cash. So
Yep.
all of those little things came together and hurted us a lot, and a lot of issues with GHA got exposed. It was democracy, my man. You need to talk to somebody else to get to talk. They can talk to a group, so they can give us a permission to do this kind of militarical decisions.
You were up there. You saw those talks. I never did. I was a nobody. So yeah, you saw that.
Yeah, I was part of the leadership up in GHM, Golden Hawk Military, and I saw some problems we had. I saw the lack of power we hold it, and the lack of power the group hold it in GHA. I forgot the name of the group, but yeah, they had more power than us, and yeah, and that group was, I know that group, they were part of as a normal alliance member fleets, but they had nobody from the military side talking to them. Zell pushed a lot. Zell did a lot of work up in the military. He decided to uh, be in that group to give us a voice in the to give us a military voice up in that group. But it wasn't enough. He tried everything. Shack Attack tried everything. Drake tried everything. How you tried everything. A lot of FCs tried, and yeah, we lacked a lot of things, and we got exposed, we got caught, and yeah, that was the fall of GHA. And after that, after those defense fleets, because our players were burning out, because it was one defense fleets against defense fleets, somebody's leading it, and we needed a lot of FCs to perform those defense fleets, because myself was getting burned out. Polo Bot led like 4 or 5 defense fleets back to back up in Gemini. I led like 3 or maybe 2, because it was a lot of burnouts. It was because you just can't fleet 50-man fleet. That's it. You need a lot of squad commanders. You need a lot of players who can hold down the second fleet and follow the commands. You need a lot of people who are in position and who know their shit to go against a battleship army while we are outnumbered in doctrine, while we are outnumbered in ships. Because we were heavy at the battle cruiser pilots, but we didn't have enough battleship pilots on the grid. We didn't have enough battle cruiser guardians. They're dead. They had more bigger guns. They had bigger numbers, and yeah, they pushed hard. They pushed hard with their blob.
Yeah. Well, they took advantage of some of these corps that were in GHA. The way GHA was, the SRP was supplied by the corps. So there were some corps that couldn't do SRP of battleships or battle cruisers at the time. And so they just kind of had to show up in cruisers or whatever else that they were able to fly in. Sometimes they even flew their personal ships.
Yep. A lot
And
of players.
yeah, their PvE ships were going in just to defend stuff, and then they end up losing it, and then potentially they quit the game because of it. Who knows? Those were some really dark days of the GHA up until it fell.
Yep.
So I like to quote Ozier on this, and Ozier, he was part of the GHA. He was an ORC. He's still leading ORC currently, and he had left GHA back in December, I want to say. But when GHA fell, all the corps, and I quote, they spread like hayseeds across the galaxy. I liked how he put that into perspective, because that's really what happened. All the corps just like, oh, okay, I'm gone. I'm going over here. Corps went to SHH. Corps went to Pantheon. Corps went to GenFed. You went to Pew. Multiple people went to No Please Stop. Maybe not whole corps, but I know people did. And then I think what was left of the GHA, the Russian side of it, went toward I think they created Red Machine out of that. Not really sure what happened to everybody else. A lot of corps went up into the Veil and joined the
Yeah.
inner.
So most of the corporation, like big red corporate, red one, like Odin, a lot of players, like a lot of corporation went to Shush, and our corporation, I was at that time in ST, and we decided to follow DLG, DIT at that time, join Pantheon. They were they were a good option to us, and it was a new territory. It was a new start. We wanted a new start, and we were talking about creating a new alliance, but we didn't manage to create that alliance. We got the permissions from the EVE Online veterinarians and a lot of those. We were trying to form something new, but that didn't happen. We decided to join. We decided to join Pantheon. The DIT and DLG formed a new corporation called RX2 at that time. It was the corporation, or like, led by Zell. Zell was CEO, and RX2 and ST joined Pantheon, and we were struggling to recruit people in Stellar Tyrants. So ST decided to, sorry, merge with RX2 and like kind of form RXR now. And yeah, but ST wasn't the name anymore, and Apollo Bot decided to join Go Pew. He just left HTP as soon as GHA fell and joined Pew. So I was in talk with him, and like, he was like, he was the guy, who I just go around PvP, and he was in Pew. So after the ST name wasn't there anymore, I was got honorable digits discharged by the military leader. It was fun leading those guys, a lot of players. We managed to put out 4 billion damage per day, and we like on the first defenses there was 200 counter 2 pilots and 20 prophecies ready to die, and like a bunch of nightmare battleships were ready to die to defend that citadel. And yeah, it was fun leading those group. And rest in peace ST. They decided to join, they decided to merge, and the name wasn't there anymore, and I was a free man.
Yeah.
And I joined Pew. I got watched in by Polobot and Azanop. They both were a good friend of mine, and Azanop was director of Pew Black Legion. And I got interviewed by Tahini himself. And yeah, I decided to join Pew and became a junior FC there, and now FC in Pew as well. So yeah,
So since the fall of the GHA, we haven't had. Okay, we've had some pretty big battles. I think I've seen lately up to 800. It was a Pantheon and maybe a Void ACR battle that happened recently. Were you part of that?
yes, I was part of that. So it was ZID 0.3 or like 1.3 or whatever. Third part of the
Oh,
ZID happened.
ZID again. Oh man.
Yes. Yeah, so like the second ZID happened, that was like a small one. That didn't count. There was a third one. A big main ZID was in Hulltimer, and we got as mercenary now I'm a mercenary, so we got contracted in by unknown client. It was and we decided, the video is still up, you can see which side we fought on, like with what we did. And if we played a big crucial role. I don't want to say what we did or what the video is still out. If you want to look, you can go to Tahini's like, their YouTube channel and see what we did. We played, like, I know GenFed did their propaganda, ACR did their propaganda, but I'm just not gonna lie. Like, we did a big main crucial role in that, and we holded the citadel as long as we can, as long as we did, and and yeah, and after that, ZID, I think ZID got put into hell, or it got blown up. I guess it got blown up, and GenFed put a new citadel in there. That was the biggest, that was like the third battle of the CID.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yep. Rest in peace in that citadel. I've been in the side of protecting it. I've been in the side trying to kill it.
Yeah, that's
It's fun.
funny.
Yep, it's fun.
Yeah, you never
So,
know what's going to happen on the next day. One day you're defending it, and the next day you're attacking it.
yeah.
So,
So,
were you at the RG9 battle recently in Declan?
up in Declan?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
This
Actually,
was a few weeks ago. It was Pand. It was their citadel in RG9, and it fell to Fireflies and Mercenaries. So no, Please Stop was there along with Fireflies. Fireflies notoriously hires them. That's not unknown news, I guess you could say. But that was a decently sized battle. Few hundred
oh
people.
yeah, I was part of that. I was part of that. I forgot it was.
Okay.
Yeah, the pandemic citadel fell. I remember.
Yeah. So that's the second citadel in RG9, I believe, that went down. RG9 is kind of cursed, and I want to say ZID might be cursed now too. It's like, don't put one there because you know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Unless you
I
want the
remember.
content.
Because I know, and as a mercenary or like any group, as a normal alliance, we don't supposed to have favorites or like pilots. But Fireflies is one of the best group. Like, they got their asses kicked by Shush and they retreated, and now they come back and they're making a full comeback. We love those pilots, and they're still trying to figure out the military. They're very good pilots, and they're like kicking ass up in Shush, and they took back Branch and Wennel, because you can see by the Sov map and go have a look. They own more Sov in those territories, and technically they owned that territory now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've been they've been pushing hard at Shush, and yeah, it's been fun fighting along those sides as long as they're gonna keep hire us.
Well, I know you had some notes. Did we end up talking about all your notes?
Yeah, I think we covered most of them. And you want to talk about the current state, like what's happening right now, or like
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
yeah. So right now, like we've been kicking ass up in lunar space, or like Will in the Silent, because we put out Coffer put a citadel up in Geminate, and Lunar decided to form a biggest blob with Pantheon, and they just successfully destroyed that citadel because our pilots, everybody, I was in that battle. You like everybody. The Gengar made a video. You can see most of the pilots not even moving because they jumped in and everything crashed. At like even the players who own iPads got crashed, and yeah, I died in my guardianship, and just it was a lot. I've been trying to. I that ship was alive from like most of the battles. I didn't lost it, and I lost it to a black screen, and after that we've been just punishing them, and now we hold the record, as you said, right? Pantheon holded the record of like getting 4 battles, like 4 citadels,
Mm-hmm.
and now no Please Stop or no Alliance hold the records of killing 7 citadels or 8 citadels in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. Now you guys have been everybody else who is in Pantheon formed a new new blob.
So
As
yeah.
pilots love to say, the blue donut. They formed a goat now, and yeah, it's been
Well,
fun fighting you guys.
I seen a thing the other day. I forget who said it, and it may have been on the Black Legion server. Wouldn't it be a red donut to you guys? Somebody said that. It's like, well, you say blue donut, you keep dropping blue donut, but isn't it a red donut to you? And isn't that what you guys want?
Oh man, a red donut.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, notorious. Okay. The Veil of the Silent has constantly, since like the bot wars, we talked about the bot wars. Veil of the Silent has been under fire pretty much the entire game life so far.
Yep, the Whale Coalition,
Just
TVC.
just now it's a little bit more heated up because the Veil of Silent is and Geminate is targeted by no, please stop right now. So
Yep.
yeah, it's almost like the days before the GHA fell. A certain area was targeted and making life hell for a lot of corporations, but the Veil of the Silent, a lot of those corporations were war torn. I know some of the SE came from when the Southern War had ended, and some had split off out of Void or OG or wherever from the south. They came up and into the Veil and joined Looter, or came up as SE. They've been battling for months already, and yet they move, and yet they're at battle. They're at war again. So yeah, this kind of current meta war is SHH, Pantheon, Catch 22 versus No and Friends. And I would say SHH as a federation, which includes Lunar, which is in the Veil. So yeah, that's kind of the new war right now. And
Everyone versus no.
yeah,
It's always been like that, my man. It's always been like that.
So and you just recently took on Hell to Pay. I know they posted a thing on Reddit about them turning over. I believe the Whale Pod just joined you, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting next few weeks, definitely.
Yeah, it's because I know a lot of propaganda is going on, a lot of bullshit is going on Reddit. There was nothing like we don't force anything. It's just like I know we're mercenary pirates. Like we have a certain amount of honor, my man. I just want to tell this out. A lot of players are doing propaganda and bullshit. HTP joined us by their own. They made their own decision. They decided to join us. And like, if somebody's telling us, I've been with those pilots. They've been PvP focused from the start of the game, and they currently hold the longest SOV hold in the history of the game. They have the longest, oldest SOV in the history in the game, and they decided no. And no, please stop was like a good home to them. They decided to join us. I'm happy with their decision because a lot of pilots know me in there. A lot of pilots are friends. A lot of pilots were back in the GHA days. We used to go on roams and have fun. So it's been really, I've been excited to, play the game with them again. And they were on, the blue side. And now no hold, like we started from holding no saw. Now we just holding the oldest saw right now in the game right now.
Yeah, it's and I was telling court members about that, or I was telling somebody that may not have known that. And actually, let's talk about that. HTP holds one of the earliest dropped, if not the first Citadel dropped in the game. Now, I had heard recently that they had joined No to save that Citadel because it was among one of the targets that you guys had over there. I mean, it is a historic Citadel. I mean, my Enriel station was also historic, but that's no longer, you know?
There anymore. But yeah, we successfully managed to defend it, and it's there. And yeah, it's HTP. I remember I was there for anchoring it back in the days. Now I'm there for defending it again, and yeah, it's been fun playing with those pilots because like HTP is one of the PvP focused group you're gonna find because they were while being in the GHA they were so ahead of a lot of corporations. I had corporation meetings with them, how they like doing this group, how they're managing it, and they've been trying to hold themselves, and they've been successfully managed to hold a PvP slash PvE focused group. And yeah, they're good pilots, my man. They're a bunch of baboons.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say. They're a
You
bunch
know,
of baboons, and
you know
now
what's
with their
funny
no.
too is if you look at the game, I mean, we're coming up to a year old, but pilots that you flew with way back last August, some of them are still around. Big names too. Some of them are still around, and depending on which, some are still like within their original corporations or alliances. Either way, it's like you see them on grid or you see them on Discord, say, "Oh, I remember that name. I remember when I used to fly with that person." I still get a lot of that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Whenever I go into Shush territory, back in Panther, everywhere I go, if somebody knows me, they hit up me a DM, they send me an in-game message, hey, nice to hear you. And to be honest, it's always been positive. It's like I only had a one incident. Well, that was that guy was mad, but yeah, it's always been a pilot. It's always been fun to say hi to the old guys, and they just always give a good and positive message, and it's fun. And if in local come say hi to me, if I know you, I probably will leave you. But if you're flying a Vindicator, then there's no chance, my man. I'm gonna tackle you, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you gonna camp me in my Charon? You're gonna camp me for days?
If you're flying a chair on my man, there's no way I'm gonna leave you. I love you, but
No,
Charon is one of the it's like a nightmare on fucking drugs. It's an 18 billion ship. Oh
you're
man.
not gonna let me jump my 4 jumps.
If you pay out some of the risk, I might
Oh,
protect you. I might protect you for those 4 jumps as well. But it depends on the situation.
Well, let that go
Uh,
down in history too. The first Charon was destroyed not too long ago. Have you seen
yeah,
that?
by fireflies. I saw that they killed a share on 17.6 billion worth, and they got the first kill mail in New Eden.
Yep.
It's been fun. It's been fun. Oh, yeah, yeah. They came from they came from like just a PvP alliance. Now they're becoming a PvP group, and then now they have one of the like best kill mail you can say. Like killing a Sharon is a big deal. It's a 17.6 billion kill mail worth, and they got the first freighter kill mail in the game.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well, man, it's been a year.
it's been a year.
Can you believe it? We're still playing the game. And we still enjoy it, right? To the benefits that we enjoy.
Yep, it's a. I know a lot of players are coming back up again now. Jita is getting 500 plus, and it's GHA was a name you can like trying to figure out and get to know it. And yeah, it's been fun being part of those groups and have multiple experience in multiple wars, and being able to hold honorable positions in every alliance and in every group. It's been honor of mine. It's been honor of mine.
All right, man. Well, do you have any shout outs or closing thoughts? And we'll close this out.
Oh, I got a lot of shout outs, but I'm gonna, the palace was saying, oh, you were on the roundtable chat. I gotta give out the shout out to Tahini himself. I gotta give out shout out to Azanov. I gotta give out shout out to Run, Clansman, Dwiff. I gotta give out shout out to Mr. Kilroy. He's been like one of the oldest director I'm still in touch with. I gotta, I gotta give a shout out to you. So that's the thanks for having me. It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, and thanks for being a fan of my show as well. I know you listen to all my episodes, and yeah, I mean you're there. You're a good supporter, and I flew with you back in the GHA days. Someday maybe we'll fly again.
Yep. Someday we'll fly again.
So
It will be honor, bro.
here's to another year of Eve Echoes. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, man.
All right. Well, thank you, and I'll see you around.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again.
All right. Thank you. Alrighty. Well, that wraps it up for this week. If you like the show, please rate it and review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or like and share my YouTube channel and subscribe to future videos for that. Also, if you wish, please join my Discord. That is where I do my roundtable talks. I post all my episodes on there. I have a guest list on there you can see. And also, you can post your own corp ad. I'll leave that link to the Discord in the description. And if you want even more Eve Echoes news and a deeper dive into what's going on in Galaxy, go check out Damon Zell on YouTube on his show Echoes from the Front. He goes over game announcements, patch notes, alliance drama, battles, and much more. So thank you everybody for listening. Take care, fly dangerously, and I will see you next week.